So it's great that you guys are here. I love it. I was talking to Debbie at the beginning. I said, for some reason this morning, I was feeling, the waves of the slumpiness and then the waves of high activity. And we have them normally anyway, but for some reason they're more noticeable to me now, or maybe the slumpy times are longer or something. I don't know, but yes, we are in a lot of moon wobble kinds of, I would agree. Yes, retrograde, planets are moving into retrograde, a lot is happening. But so I was thinking about, well, what's present for me in my practice? And I began to think about Durga, and she's this goddess figure in the Hindu pantheon. And I kind of love her because I relate to her in some way. She is often shown riding a tiger. So that in itself puts her up there. It's like, ooh, she likes cats, big ones. And the cat I'm living with right now is kind of like Durga's tiger. It's like, you got to be careful with her. And she's carrying all these weapons, and she's a mother figure. She's the fierce mother figure. Like, I love you, but I'm going to snap you into line if you get out, kind of a thing. There's Lakshmi, who plays music all day, and she's so beautiful and sweet. And, there's other goddess figures, but Durga, Kali is like this destructive goddess, but Kali's just like strong. She's powerful. And I love the fact that she's powerful enough to ride a tiger. So if you think about, if you were riding a tiger, you'd have to kind of hug your inner thighs, right? To kind of hold on, but you couldn't squeeze too tightly, because the cat gets mad and, and they have a lot more flexibility than other four-legged animals. So there's that balance of riding the tiger. And right now, some days it feels like I'm riding a tiger. Like, you just have to, but if you get on it, that tiger's very fluid and quite lovely, but it's an interesting ride. You can't ever totally just lie back and eat grapes like you could if you were riding on top of an elephant or something like that. So we'll take that Durga, and when we connect to that divine Durga power, we recognize our own power, the strength of our heart, the strength of our ability to create new experiences and to become and grow and learn. So once I start to think about Durga, I get a little less slumpy. Like, I'm just a little less willing to sit on the couch all day. But check in with me. No, I'm taking care of Arden this afternoon, so I will not be sitting on any couch. Mermaid maybe, but a lot of Barbie. But at any rate, if you haven't already, take a good seat. A nice manual inner rotation of the thighs. The inner thighs move back, tailbone down. So we'll work a lot with that hugging, but not hugging too tightly. Sometimes I know I get into that over efforting. So we'll have to pull it back a little bit. Close your eyes if you haven't already. Join your index finger and thumb. The individual meets the universal, the Yana mudra, the mudra of knowing. And so when we touch finger and thumb, we recognize that there's a power out there. The universe is powerful. I often think, when I used to live near the Gulf, and we would go boating a lot and sailing, and I never stopped being respectful of the power of the ocean. It's gorgeous and it's powerful. And just like this tiger we're riding in our culture right now, I have to ride it with a soft touch, but a clear, firm connection. Draw your palms together in front of the heart center. Inhale, exhale, cleansing breath. Inhale to Om. Om. Release your hands. Flutter your eyes open. let's get rocking. See if I've set my, there we go. And so Jill, let me know if that light bothers you. I'll flip those off when you're ready. All right, come to hands and knees. Pad your knees as you wish. So Debbie, if you're uncomfortable using, you can do that, or I have some freshly washed towels back there if you want to fold those over. You okay? All right. I like to do that too. Yeah, I know you've got double mats there. Start first with cat-cow, just to check in with the spine. Make this as big or small as you want. You know the drill, you guys have all done it. Stretching into what's tight. Tuck your toes and stretch all the way back into the crouch position where your hands are fairly far away. You're not pinching the knees. The hips are fairly high. It's more like a puppy position. And claw the floor, pull that tiger paws out. Claw the floor and pull the finger pads back as you connect with the whole circumference of the palm to the best of your ability. Hug the thumbs towards each other. Pull the inner armpits up and apart. Soften between the shoulder blades. Come back to table. Keep the toes tucked, walk the hands back, and sit on the heels. Again, Mary's version is to put blocks under the heels, or you can even fold up and put a blanket under there. And we can sterilize some blocks for you if you want, Debbie. All right, just to open up the feet. This is kind of intense some days. I'm feeling it at any rate. Interlace the hands behind the back, shrug the shoulders, lift the head of the arm bones, move the head of the arm bones towards the back body, and at the same time, take the top and bottom of the ears back. So you're neither lifting the chin nor dropping the chin, but pulling it back. And then lifting arms up. Stretch the front of the chest. Release, palms up, fingers towards the knees, coming off the feet a bit. Claw the floor and pull the elbows in towards the body. You won't bend much, but just enough to stretch the inner wrist. Come back to the toes, little toe torture. Shake the hands. And this time, palms are down, not much weight on the hands because this is not the way the arms are designed to support you, but enough forward that you can feel a stretch across the top of the hands, top of the wrist. Micro bend your elbows in towards your hips. So it's just a softening, not a locking. You're not pushing the elbows forward. Inhale your way back to center. So we'll do this. We've done this before, but I'll go over it again. It's the, I kind of call it the kneeling sun salutation. So as you inhale, you're up, exhale, it's like someone's pulling your belt back. As you walk your fingertips out, you're in strength position, clawing up. Plant the hands, shift forward into a little baby up dog. So you can keep the knees down. You can do this, but it's more important that the elbows pull back and hug in rather than pop out. Then a little bow, not to let the shoulders drop down. Back up to the up dog, the crouch position, almost child's pose, and then up again. That'll build some heat. All right, come on up. Again, pad your knees as you wish. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, stretch it out into a crouch. Inhale, shift forward to up dog. Exhale, hug the elbows in and little push up. Next, inhale, up dog. Exhale, crouch, puppy, and inhale all the way up. Exhale the arms down. Any questions? Got it? Okay. Good. Inhale up. Exhale, stretch it out. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, little baby chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, back towards child's. Inhale, use the core to lift you up all the way. Exhale, the arms down. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, stretch it out. Inhale, claw the floor, hug your up dog. Exhale, little bow. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, and rest in child's pose for a moment. You can untuck the toes, knees apart, stack your head on a block or on your fist or your hands and rest. On your next inhale, come back up to table. Walk your knees about a handprint distance behind your hip and your hands about a handprint distance in front of your shoulders. Claw the floor with the finger pads, hug the thumbs towards each other as you shift back, keep the knees soft and unfurl into downward facing dog. Walk your dog, pedal it out. So think of it here, the hands are clawing. That's the cat, the tiger part. The heart is soft. The back of right between the shoulder blades, the center back of the heart is soft. Shoulder blades drawing in towards each other and supporting the back of the heart. On your next exhale, widen your feet almost mat width apart. Keep the knees over the ankles so they're not knocking together. And on your exhale, walk your hands back to your toes, forward bend at the back of your mat. Oh. And either half forward bend or full forward bend. But bend the knees and slightly straighten. You may not come to full straight, doesn't matter. Just bend and straighten, using the breath. Next, inhale, come halfway up, shrug your shoulders, lift the head of the arm bones. And on your next inhale, wait for the wave, press down to rise up all the way to standing and release. Step to the top of your mat, please. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, halfway up, walk the fingertips up the shins, heart forward, knees soft. Next, exhale, bow, pull the belly up and in. Inhale, extend. Exhale, bow. One more, inhale, extend. Exhale, bow. Inhale, prepare, stretch your right leg back, straight leg lunge. Come, lift your hands so the hands are just hovering over the floor. Scissor the legs. So here's where the legs are riding the tiger. Hug them in, inner thighs moving back, tailbone down. And then you push from the core of the pelvis out through the legs. And from the core of the pelvis, you extend sweetly, gently, and then start to search on one side. Ooh, and then the other. You have to do this slowly enough that you keep control. If you do it too fast, you will fall off that cat and the cat will have an early lunch. So hug it in. Find the stability. And then stretch the arms in a T position. Turn the thumbs up, make a little fist, lift, and start to use your airplane wings down. Wow. One side and then the other. Start to feel the legs working, warming up really fast here. Oh, enough of that. Release it. Come to plank pose. Soften between the shoulder blades. Hug here just a moment. So you hug the shoulder blades on the back and lower down, knees, chest, and chin, all the way to the floor. Come up into Sphinx pose. Hug the elbows towards each other. Pull the elbows back isometrically towards the hips as you stretch the legs long behind you, clicking all 10 toenails on the floor, and lift. Exhale, release. Plant your hands, tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward, leg lunge. Again, feet on railroad tracks, at least hip width apart, maybe a tiny bit wider, makes you a little more stable. Scissor the legs, and just lift the hands. So you're still keeping the toes low to the front leg as you can. If you need to come up, that's fine. But if you can keep it nice and low with the ribs touching each other, give that a try. And then the legs are hugging, holding easily. There's fluctuation there. You'll notice on the front foot, I tend to rock back and forth from one edge to the other. If you can keep that a small wavering, it's impossible to keep it stick still, I think. And then lift these shoulder height, turn the palms up, make a little fist with the fingers, lift the thumbs like you're hitchhiking, and then start to play airplane. Woo. And notice, does one side feel less stable than the other when you tilt from one side to the other? Oh. And on your next exhale, release. Step back, downward facing dog. Oh. Shift forward, plank pose. Soften between the shoulder blades, claw the floor, hug the thumbs, and then lower the knees slowly, but keep them hovering off the floor. Keep the heart soft, hips high, the knees just barely kiss the floor. Might have to walk the toes forward an inch or two to keep from breaking the toes. Oh, and then release all the way to the floor. Shake it off. And plant your hands on either side of your chest. Shrug, lengthen the legs long behind you, inner thighs move up to the ceiling, and the inner thighs move apart. Click all, that'll help you click all 10 toenails onto the floor. Tailbone lengthens as you pull the belly button back into the spine. Take a breath, inhale, lift the head of the arm bones towards the ears, shrug the shoulders a little bit, take the head of the arm bones towards the ceiling, towards the back body, and then lift the chest, press the hands into the floor and pull back, hug the elbows into the side ribs. And do a little turn and come center, and then a little look over the other side. Just checking to see if there's any flies in your breakfast this morning. Back and forth a couple of times each side. Noticing the back muscles have to work here to keep you stable. Next, exhale, release. Big inhale, tuck your toes, plant your hands. On your next exhale, lift into downward facing dog. Your next inhale, step your left foot forward to straight leg lunge. Spin the back foot down and windmill the arms up. So in warrior two, the scissor in. And just pause a moment. So we push back and just check. Take the hands to the hips, lengthen the side body and move the head of the arm bones back. Lift all 10 toes, press into the four corners of the feet, hug the legs in towards each other, so as though you were on roller skates, did not want to do the split. Inner thighs move back and the tailbone lengthens down, side ribs move down and back, shoulder blades hug onto the back. Extend the toes just to keep you stable. From there, the arms lift up, the palms up, and pull the shoulder blades down the back. So you'll move your back arm slightly forward. You're like hiking it back a lot, and it's causing the shoulder to kind of roll. It's a tiny little adjust. Yeah, that's perfect. Just, it was about an inch, but it felt like there was some strain there, nice. And then lift the heart, broaden the shoulder blades, broaden the collarbones, and just for looks, turn the palms down. And breathe, bend the front knee a little bit more. Reverse warrior, turn the front palm up and look into it. And then back to warrior two. Straighten both legs, turn both feet in. And Debbie, I'm gonna have you spin around and face me. There you go, sorry, I should have started, see, there you go. And as you pull the head of the arm bones in, slide the shoulder blades down the back. So there's a tendency for us to get over tense and tight. You can also go too far this way. So you have to find that little edge right in between there. And the arms are sort of extending from the heart without a lot of tension in the arms. There's work in them, but there's not a lot of work. Turn your right toes towards the short edge of the mat. Bend the right knees, hands on the hips. Lift all 10 toes. Connect with the four corners of the feet, particularly the outer edge of the back foot. Hug them into the midline. Inner thighs, upper inner thighs move back, and the tailbone lengthens down into that space to firm the low belly. And from there, send the energy out from the core of the pelvis down through the legs and up to the spine, and stretch the arms out. So there's both a sense of pulling in and extending out. Now relax the hands a little bit so they're not so tight. Yeah, not droopy. There's like the plant back there, right? Got to water the plant on Friday. So that's the plant. This is like, I'm Wired, the cat that you threw in the water. So you're right in the middle. There's some energy, but some softness. Reverse it. Oh, might even take hold of the inside of the back thigh and pull it up. Scoop the outer right hip in as this right shin presses forward. Oh, big stretch across the side body. Inhale your way back to center. Both feet parallel. Lift all 10 toes, hug in, micro bend the knees. Now the knees want to fold in, but it's as though you're pushing them. You have a really big tiger you're riding, and hug into the midline. So, huh? Yes, yes, we're talking about a big one, not like some little baby. All right, hug the heels towards each other. You'll feel the inner thighs and the inner knees work, yes? Keep that, hands on the hips. Lift your sits bones and come either halfway on blocks, or if it's comfortable with the spine long, come to the fingertips on the floor. And breathe. Keep the legs strong, the core, the belly lifted as the tailbone lengthens. Place your right fingertips right under your nose, the left hand on the left hip. So when we do this twist, the tendency is for the opposite direction, in this case, your right hip. If we're turning to the left, twisting to the left, the right hip wants to collapse, so you keep it pulled back. It will constrain your range of motion, but it'll keep the sacrum happier. So as you inhale, hug the legs towards the midline and lengthen the spine. Exhale, softly turn the ribs. Don't turn the head too fast. Head's the last thing to come. Keep pulling back with the opposite. In this case, your right inner thigh keeps pulling back towards the right. And breathe. Inhale back to center. Pause a minute. The left hand's right under your nose. The right hand on the hip, or you can place it on your sacrum, and that will give you some feedback if you feel it start to tilt. What would really give us feedback is if we put our favorite beverage on a tray right there, and then we'd figure out if we drop the hip or not. So strengthen and lengthen first. So you hug the legs towards each other, tailbone lengthens, spine lengthens, and then exhale, the twist begins to revolve to the right. The inner left thigh keeps pulling back to the left. Don't let it collapse. You can feel it. You can feel it. It just pops. And I go right into a little pain in the inner knee when that happens. So you keep it steady so the body can be fluid. On your next inhale, turn to face. And then whatever version of this stretch, you can stay here in half wide-legged forward bend, Prasarita Padottanasana, or walk your hands back to right in between your feet, hug the elbows to the midline, shrug the shoulders, and stretch the crown of the head towards the floor. May or may not come, not important, just in the direction of. Still keeping the legs strong, inner thighs moving towards the back behind you, and the tailbone lengthening, low belly pulling up and in. Then the heart draws towards the floor. Inhale your way back up, heel toe the feet in, hands on your hips, shrug your shoulders. Inhale your way all the way to standing and shake off. Oh. Right, what diabolical things did I plan here? Okay. Take a triangle first. So take a wide stance, please. Both feet parallel. Turn your left toes towards the short edge of the mat, hands on the hips. This is where having a block with you can be helpful, but Debbie, I'll give you some options for not doing a block if you're not coming down. Hug the legs in again, keep the tiger underneath you, don't fall off. And you notice that if you hug a lot, it's harder for you to lock your knees. So those of you who tend to lock, well, you can do it anyway, right? Jill says, I'm better than that. Man, I can work around you. Don't you worry. Yeah, I know. Lift all 10 toes, pull in, and then inner thighs back, tailbone down. And just stretch out first. Stretch the bottom arm parallel with the floor. As you tilt, keep stretching out as far as you go, tilting over, down. If you feel it, so if I collapse into this knee, I start to feel discomfort right in the inner knee right there. So I have to engage the legs more, press the shin forward. The hand can come down to the inside and the knee presses into the hand in the knee, or a block on the inside or a block on the outside. Yes, and you can. Yes, it's nice to, if you've got connection with the arm and the leg on the outside, pushing those into each other as well. Stack your shoulders on top of each other. Take the top arm forward, pull it back and come into half beach babe. Stretch the elbow, so hug the arm towards the cheek so it's not out, it's down, facing forward. And then stretch, as you push your head into your hand, stretch your elbow towards your left foot. Oh, to feel that nice side stretch. And then on the inhale, steady the legs and rise up. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, shake off. I just can't hold the wide stance forever and ever and ever. I have to release it. And that's if you're finding if you get cramps and catches in joints, it's probably that you're just straining it for too long. So back off a little bit and come back and revisit. All right, take a wide stance. And turn your right toes towards the short edge of the mat. Lift all 10 toes. Connect with the four corners of the feet, particularly the outside edge of the back foot of your left foot tends to lift up. So tack it down even more. Scissor the legs together, inner thighs back, tailbone down, hands on your hips, extend your toes. As you're pressing down the hands, this is the energy from the core of the pelvis down through the legs. You can use your hands to remind you you're pressing down, then extend out and tilt to your right. Watch this, the right leg, it wants to collapse, so keep it steady. Keep it strong. Stretch the bottom arm, this is your right arm, out, sort of an elegant kind of thing. And then either on the hugs to the inside of the knee, push the inner knee into the hand, but the hand pushes the inner knee back, scooping your outer right hip in and down. Or come to a block and arm to leg, leg to arm somewhere. Keep lengthening the underbody. That tends to collapse. Top arm comes forward, pull the head of the arm bone in, come into a close beach babe, hug the elbow points forward first towards me, and then stretch, as you push your head into your hand, the elbow points the same direction as your right foot. Curl back, hug the legs in, take more weight off your hand if your hand's on the floor or a block. Oh. And on your inhale, rise up. Step it in. All right. Come to, you might need a blanket for this, you might not, there are versions. But if you if we do a squat and your squat's wide, if your heels peel up, you can roll part of your mat under it, but you might be able to do the full squat, Debbie, without, the heels may or may not come up. There you go. Yeah. So if you need it, a lot of people cannot do this. You guys are master advanced. So you put a blanket under their heels rather than have their heels just hang out into midair. It just gives them more stability. Then the elbows on the inside, or the arms on the inside, and the elbows push out as the inner knees push in. Do a lot of squats. Love it. Damn it. Is a squat. Squatasana. I don't know. We'll have to look that up in the, I'm not even sure. Yeah, it is a pose. I'm just not sure what it is. And then place your hands and hug the knees in towards the arms and just tilt forward, put a little weight on the hands and rock back. And keep doing that a couple of times. Claw the floor, hug in, rock back. Just a couple of times. That may be all you do. So here's to go into full Bakasana. It helps sometimes to, so now, wait, before we do this, come up halfway, pull your feet together, and it's like a first position, and now lift the heels and have the heels touch. So the heels touch, yeah, or you can just wiggle the feet together, and the knees are apart, and now come down onto your hands. See if you can get your inner knees to the back of your upper arms, and just hug. Hug the thumbs towards each other, push the elbows out, and squeeze the knees in. Just tilt forward and come back. Tilt forward and come back. You may or may not go there. Sometimes it's easier to start Bakasana up on a perch because I've already got my hips up, but play it as you want. And then hug and squeeze in. And maybe you can lift one toe, put it down, and lift the other toe and put it down and hug back. Don't worry about sticking the balance right away. You do have to keep looking a little bit forward through your eyebrows. If you drop your head, you're going to do a tuck and roll. So you don't have to balance. Look at you go, yeah. Yeah. So you just play with it a little bit. And the core is working a lot. Oh. And then come into a forward bend or half forward bend. Release it. Shake the head. Release any tension you might have held there. Hands on your hips. Shrug your shoulders. Lift the head of the arm bones and inhale, rise up. All right. Come to hands and knees. Again, you may want to pad your knees, or your double mat may be enough. So I've been playing with camel a bit. Again, you may or may not use your blocks on either side of you, or your heels may be enough, or you may keep the hands here. So we'll do it in stages. Toes are tucked, you're working the legs. So here's where you're really feeling this little narrow tiger that's through the legs here. Hug the legs into the midline, inner thighs move back, tailbone down into the space. And then there's a settling, there's a moving of the energy from the core of the pelvis down through the knees. And then a concurrent lift from the pelvis up and out through the heart. Hands on your sacrum, fingers down, hug the elbows towards each other, but it's not a hard squeeze. If you squeeze too hard, the bottom ribs pop out. So you play that edge, the bottom ribs move down, and the hands here remind you to lengthen the, keep the low back long. As you press into the low back, the hips do shift forward in space slightly, but you're still trying to keep your inner thighs back. So you're countering that move and curl back. So the heart lifts, collarbones broaden, shoulder blades hug onto the back to support you, and your hands are supporting you on the sacrum. So you should feel nothing in the low back. The hands are both pushing in and moving down to lengthen the low back. And release. Untuck and just shake it off. You can keep that. That's where your bus stop is. That's where you stay. The next version is kind of backstroke camel. So you come up and you hug again. The classic pose is with the feet untucked. That's a little bit much for me, so I keep it here. So you can start with the hands on the sacrum. You can stay here. Stretch your right arm up. Curl it back, come into half beach babe, elbow points forward, push your head into your hand into the head and curl back more. And then maybe continue with the backstroke and the right hand touches the right heel or a block on the side. If it doesn't touch, just go, keep the hands there. And inhale, press down to rise up. Nice, shake off. Again, other side. Hug in, tailbone down, belly button in, curl back. The left arm does a half backstroke, then a half beach babe, push in, pull back. This helps you get a little deeper back bend, and then continue the backstroke. So even though the hips may move back a bit, you're still moving the hips forward as the inner thighs are moving back and apart. It's a lot. Inhale, back up, release. Shake off. You can untuck your toes or whatever you need to give it a break. Again, you can stay with, you can come back to the, I find this one really helpful for me because it lengthens my, my spine, the low back. The second version, I pretty much need blocks for this. Come up again, you can stay here, you can go to half beach babe, but this one will try to take both hands back. So hug the legs into the midline, inner thighs move back, tailbone lengthens. That's what the hands are helping you remember. Bottom ribs pull down and back, xiphoid to tailbone. Stretch the right arm up and back, reach for your heel or the block. Left arm up and back, reach for the heel or the block. Maybe you can take hold and then hug the legs in, lift the heart. You'll feel a big stretch across the quadricep. Ah, and inhale, rise up. Nice. Child's pose. Knees apart, toes together. It doesn't. I mean, camel pose always feels like, oh, that's an easy one until you actually do it. Yes, and I got it up to 70, down to 74. So. I know, it feels good to open the chest there. As we did the Bakasana, which was all roundy over. And so the camel pose feels like a nice counter curse. All right, come up to seated. We'll do Marichyasana. It's a seated twist. Again, there are versions for this. I like to sit on a little bit of blanket or a little bit of a folded mat to give my hips a bit of a lift. Did you lose something? The glasses are over to the right a little bit more. Keep going out. Yeah, they blend in. And how could I see them without my glasses is what I wonder, because I'm half blind. I know, right? Okay. So you can sit straight Dandasana for a moment, dig the heels into the floor, pull the heels back as you step on the gas, and the back of the knees lift up a little bit so they're not pressing down. Fingertips on either side of you. To lift the side body, move the head of the arm bones back. And breathe here a moment. So Marichyasana, it's just named after a sage. I couldn't figure out any other way to call it. Draw your left knee up and in, foot on the floor. So again, there's different versions. We'll be twisting towards the bent knee. You can stay here. You can go across the straight leg a little across the midline, and the foot is over on the other side. So this leg has to come over just a bit. The little heart of it stays over here if it crosses over. Or you can bend the knee. So you choose your volume, as long as both sits bones are down. So if you're not on a blanket, Debbie, you may want to keep the bottom leg straight, just because I can't do it off the blanket. I know it pinches, right? So I'll go with the group here. All right, we're doing the second version. And again, the straight leg is working a lot. It's hugging to the midline. You're stepping on the gas, pulling the heel back. Inner thighs of both legs are moving back and kind of free your trapped buttocks. So inhale and lift. Got your left, okay. Left leg over, okay. And the right arm comes and takes hold around the top of the bent leg, your left leg. The left fingertips can perch on the floor behind you, bend the elbow, and that will help you. If you push into the left hand, that will help you lift the chest even more. The head, let the head follow rather than lead. So on the inhale, you strengthen the legs and lengthen the spine. Exhale, the ribs turn just a bit. Low belly moves back to the right. Inhale, lengthen, strengthen. Exhale, twist a little bit more. You do this slowly enough, you'll start to feel, oh, I don't know, the sacrum feels a little hinky. That means you got to pull the low belly back the opposite way more. It will constrain your twist. You won't be able to twist as far as maybe you have before, but the sacrum will help. Thank you so generously. Then when you've turned the ribs as far as they can turn, the head turns all the way over the left shoulder, and then do the oscillating fan. The head, nothing else turns, just the head slowly turns. It's like a soap opera, right? As the head turns back and forth. Keep lifting, lengthening, and twisting even as the head's going back and forth. And on your next inhale, everything turns back to the center. Bring the left foot back out, keep it bent. Bring the left arm to the inside and reach. You can either take hold somewhere on the outside of the leg, or you might be able to grab the opposite foot. No, keep the same knee up. So keep your left knee up for now. Yeah, it's hard because you guys are not mirroring each other. So if you look at each other, you'll get confused. So your left arm, your other left arm, there you go, you're all left. On the inside, hug the knee into the arm, and then reach either for the outside, somewhere on the outside of the straight leg, or maybe you can get into a toe lock there and pull into the toe. Squeeze the knee into, oh, this is tight for me. And then you open to the right. The right fingertips can help you lift, lengthen, almost sit up. Oh, opposite twist, yeah? You feel it? Yeah, inhale, release, stretch both legs out, shake them out. Take a break and just take a wide-legged stance, wide-legged. Widen the legs. And then, oh, just stretch here, just to release and come back. Bend both knees and just windshield wiper to release any stress in the hips. So one thing that's been killing me this summer is I've been playing with Arden a lot because I think Erin's going to lose her mind. But and Arden is a sweetheart, but she's constant and she wants to play Barbies and American Girl doll, and so I'm sitting on the floor doing Barbie movies with her. But I'm sitting on the floor for hours and it just aches and aches. My hips start to ache. All right. So first start here. And then you can either stay here, or if you want to take it one notch more, then the legs are kind of doing a little lock here. So now the left leg, the straight leg's pushing into the right foot, and the right foot's pushing into the left leg. There's not hard, but just enough to stay on the tiger. The straight leg is still working. So first lengthen, pull your belly button up and in, and lengthen straight up. The left hand helps pull you around. The head goes last, lead with the heart. The right fingertips are perching behind you. The ribs, chest, sternum, on the exhale, move towards the right as the low belly twists back to the left. Inhale, lengthen and strengthen. You hug in, hold on to the tiger, and exhale, twist. Oh, keep doing that process of lengthening, strengthening on the inhale. Exhale allows you to soften and twist. When the torso is twisted as much as it can, the low belly's moving back to the left, then the head elegantly looks over the right shoulder and then slowly turns to look over the left, back and forth. So you do it slowly to notice, are there any points where you're hearing clicking or grinding? There are, you might not go so far. Reduce the range of motion. Lengthen through the spine a little bit more and see what happens. And the next time you turn your head towards the front, towards the left, come out of it, pick up the right leg and come back to where you're about hip distance apart. The right arm's on the inside, hug the knee into the arm into the knee. The right hand just, left hand supports you. Then the right hand to the outside, or, oh, you might be able to reach for the foot. Keep squeezing the inner knee into the arm or the shoulder. And then start to, on the next exhale, spin the ribs towards the left, towards the straight leg side. Lengthen first. So sometimes what we do when we're looking for the twist is we dig the head in and kind of dig in this way. So it's more about length and then a very gentle, so it's not as, maybe as deep a twist, but it's safer on the spine, I think. A little more elegant too. Oh, I'm feeling this one. And release. Shake off. Take another wide stance. Then you can sit here or start to move forward. If you lock your knees down, you'll start to feel some tension perhaps, but dig in and pull the heels back. So you lift your knees a bit more, Jill. Pull them in more. Oh, make them work. Make them work. Yeah, there you go. And you just tilt forward to the place you can sustain. Oh, and inhale your way back up. Roll to your back. Yeah, me too. Let out a sigh of relief. Walk the feet out, mat width apart, arms in T position. And drop your knees to the right. You can pick up your right foot and counterweight the outside of the left knee and stretch your left arm overhead, one long stretch for the side body stretch. So Debbie, I find when I'm around the kids a lot, especially when they were young, because you're stooping over so much to pick them up and take care of them, this stretch feels so good after that, because this is what got shortened, what got contracted a lot. So it's good for too much computer too. Inhale your way back to center. Pause a moment, notice the difference. Feels so good. Drop the feet still, mat width apart, drop the knees over to the left. The left heel can counterweight the outside of the right knee if that's comfortable. Keep both feet flexed. Stretch the right arm overhead if that's comfortable. And stretch out from the core of the pelvis through the knee, through the shin, and up from the core of the pelvis, up through the fingertips. And lengthen that side. Feel it across the hip flexors and even into the tricep, the back of the upper arm. Inhale back to center. I'm feeling the twist today, so let's do another one. Can we do too many twists? I don't think so. Straighten, well, I'm sorry, both legs bent, feet on the floor. Bend your arms as though you were going into bridge, but we're not. Push into your elbows, pick your hips up just a quarter of an inch and shift them over to the left. So now you're in sort of a weird stance. Straighten the right leg, place the left foot on top of the right thigh. So the left knee is bent. And with the right hand, pull the left knee over to the side. And you can lift the left shoulder for now, just let it come all the way over, even if the left shoulder will come away from the floor, but the left arm is kind of hanging back, draping back. So the inner left knee comes to the floor. Let's just stretch here. Enjoy this. Breathe. Then the left knee comes up a bit. Let's see if you can get your shoulder blades both back on the floor. The left knee will not, for most of us, some people, the left knee can still come to the floor, but most of us have to lift the left knee up a bit. So the thigh is more parallel, the left thigh more parallel with the floor. And try this stretch. And see which one you like best. You may say, well, they both have their strengths. Let me get the light out of your eyes there. And move to whatever version your body enjoyed more, whether the shoulders, the left shoulder comes off the floor and the inner left knee comes to the floor, or you're somewhere in between. And inhale your way back to center. Bend both knees, shift the hips back to center. And just rock a little, small rocks over the sacrum and notice any differences there. Push into your elbows, lift your bum and scoot it over to the right a few inches. Straighten the left leg. The right foot is on top of the left thigh, or it can come down onto the shin if coming up to the thigh is too much, and roll all the way over to the side of the left leg. The right shoulder's lifted, but the arms hanging back as a kind of counterweight. The left hand pulls the outer right knee down a bit more for the stretch you need. See what's going on with the head and neck. Are you causing it undue stress by holding it in some strange position? The straight leg, the left leg is still working. It's not completely relaxed, not too tense. And then as the right knee lifts a bit, draw the right shoulder blade back onto the floor. The left hand still trying to pull the right knee over to the left, but it's just not going to go as far if you keep both shoulder blades on the floor. And see which version on this side your body wants. And then move to either stay there or go back to the first version, whichever one your body is craving. And then inhale your way back to center. Stretch both legs long, stretch the arms long, stretch out. And then any other movements you want to do before final relaxation, come into your place of repose. So the tiger's down for the night, curled up, sleeping outside the tent. You can settle in, let go of that need to hold. So we have to have that balance between activity, action, and repose, total relaxation. Begin to deepen your breath. Invite gentle movement to your fingers and toes, working through the hands and feet and engaging the legs, arms. Move the head side to side, stretch the muscles in the face, and gradually draw your knees into your chest. And rest on your side for a few moments. Rolling a little more towards the floor, use the strength of your arms to press yourself up to a seated position. And just for a few rounds, we'll do the cooling breath where you make a little straw with your tongue if that's what you're able to do. I can't, I just have to pretend, thrust the tongue forward and imagine you're holding a straw if you can't curl your tongue, and sip the air in through the straw. Feel the coolness come over the tongue, the mouth, and let the coolness, feeling of coolness settle as you hold the air in for a few moments. And then when you're ready, no efforting in the hold, slowly exhale heat, anxiety, fear, stress. And when you're ready, sip the cool air in again through the straw, savoring the sweetness, the coolness. Let it permeate, just float, sink through the body. And then slowly exhale heat, unsettledness. And do that anytime during the day you're feeling either physically overheated or emotionally overheated. The next time you exhale, release the sipping breath. Breathe normally. Draw your palms together in front of the heart center. Thank you so much for practicing today. So important for your mental, physical, and emotional health. Namaste. Namaste. You guys.